Hello, guys and girls, and welcome to episode 55 of the F.Reality Podcast. This is a weekly VR, AR, and MR talk show that is live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. You can tune into the show live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, and 12 midday in Central US. You can also check out the audio version, which is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, and on Anchor. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback during the show, please put them in the chat and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Also, if you're interested, you can leave us a voicemail via Anchor and we can pick that up and maybe play it on a future episode of the show. Now, let me introduce you to the team. First up, he's a singer, a watch model, a YouTuber, and all-round lovely guy. It's our Rowdy guy. How you doing, man? You all right?
Oh, the last part, I can agree with that, you know? Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm an all-round nice guy, except for when I'm on YouTube, because then I'm Rowdy guy, you know? No, I'm all right, dude. I'm all right, you know? I've had a very busy week, not with YouTube, but just with general work and preparing for OC5. Looking forward to it a lot. Looking forward to seeing you all, of course, and meeting up with a ton more people. Yeah, really excited to get going.
Awesome. Good to hear it. So next up, our early bird is out catching those worms, reporting stateside from San Jose. How you doing, Zimtok5?
I feel very relaxed, Mike. It's nice to be on holiday out here, ready for Oculus Connected, man. The hype is definitely real, so yeah, I'm as good as can be.
This is the first time you'll see on the show that someone's actually outside with real trees, real birds, real sunlight.
Yeah. If we're really quiet, then we can actually hear the birds.
Yeah.
Zim killed them.
Not right now. They all first stop right there.
Yeah. But you're all right, Zim? You're enjoying yourself out there?
Yeah, yesterday was a bit of a tumultuous trip. Had some trouble in Heathrow, but other than that, got to fly on what was like the Battlestar Galactica of planes to come over to the States. Ended up in LA first and then popped over to San Jose. So I was up for 38 hours. And then last night, like just before going to bed, I was still doing some stuff on the go. And then I finished up. So yeah, great start actually, the trip. This morning, done an IHOP breakfast. And for those who didn't catch it, IHOP, which was as a branding mission, changed to IHOB for International House of Burgers, changed back to IHOP again. So I got to miss, unfortunately, their IHOB rebranding.
Okay. Well, glad to hear you made it there. Okay. Next up, this guy is going to be our resident VR 180 expert, fresh out of a 3-day course from YouTube HQ in London. It's, of course, Nathy. How you doing, man? You all right?
I'm doing all righty-tighty, yes. And I'm working on 180. I'm not an expert just yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, I went to a boot camp for like 3 days in London, learning about 180 cameras, about editing, all kinds of stuff. So it's gonna be interesting. Stay tuned.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing some more VR 180 content. Excited for that. So last but by no means least, myself, Mike, the host of the show from Virtual Reality Oasis. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Google DayDream updates. The Lenovo Mirage Solo will be getting 6 DOF controllers. So will this be competition for the Oculus Santa Cruz? Well, stay tuned to find out. Then we're going to be talking about Espire 1. If you've ever wanted to be Solid Snake in VR, well, now's your time. You're soon going to be able to be that person in this upcoming VR stealth game. And then finally, we're going to round up the show with our OC5 predictions. We give you our predictions on what Oculus and Facebook have up their sleeves for the event next week. So make sure you stay tuned for the show because it's going to be an interesting one. But let's start off the show by finding what everyone's been up to this week in the metaverse. And let's start it off with Rowdy. So what have you been up to this week, dude?
Like I said, I haven't been able to play a lot of games. I actually dove back into Torn, played that a little bit further. But for the rest, I have actually not been able to play. Also, my recording PC kind of broke down, so that's a little bit unfortunate because I wanted to prepare for OC5. But I'm gonna have to find another way to do it. I'm probably gonna record something on my regular PC, try to like get some content out that way. Since I still want to release some videos, there's some cool stuff coming out. So. I really want to cover that, but yeah, for the rest, I've just actually been working and not doing a lot of VR this week. Shame.
Okay.
Shame on me.
So we need a little prayer emojis in the chat to pray for Rowdy's poor PC that unfortunately met his demise. It was just going too fast. Yeah, you're the fastest YouTuber alive. You just went too fast on it, and then it just self-destructed.
That's what happens. That's what happens. It's not the first time.
Yeah. So are you still enjoying your time with Torn though? I know that you kind of enjoyed it.
I am actually. It's getting a little bit more like repetitious. Is that an English word?
Repetitive.
Repetitious.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Now we're calling it that way. I don't care what anyone else says.
That sounds like a Pokemon or something.
Repetitious. I choose you.
You go repetitious.
Okay, repetitive. Yeah, you're right. Repetitive. It's getting a little bit repetitive, and sometimes it kind of frustrates me that certain things like don't really work as intended, like especially with like the pressure plates. I'm having a lot of trouble like getting them always to work. And I know that in the beginning they said you need to put like heavier objects on there, but even then it doesn't always work for me. Maybe I'm too fast for that as well. I don't know. But I like the story. It's unfolding quite nicely. I don't really have an idea yet what is going on. I got like some suspicions. Repetitious suspicions, and but yeah, I don't really have a clue yet where it's going.
Yeah, and yeah. But I think you hit the nail on the head there, in that the game uses the same puzzle mechanics over and over and over again. So there is very little variety in terms of the puzzles. You know, sometimes they make them a little bit smaller, so they're a bit more sort of tricky. But generally, it's the same process. You just put items in the right place to complete a circuit, and then it drops out and then restarts again 3 times over, and then you've passed that part of the game.
It's like a little bit in between repetitive and variety, and we call that repetitious.
It also sounds like a Harry Potter spell to me. You know?
Yeah. Repetitious. Yeah. I wonder how many times we can drop that next week, you know, into our conversations with developers.
I love
everyone listening to this podcast is going to, and who's coming to OC5 is going to come to me and say like, so have you been playing any more repetitious games?
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed, your PC will get fixed and you can whip up some content for while you're away.
Exactly.
So let's pass it over to Zim then. Find out what you've been up to before you managed to embark on your crazy journey to America.
So okay, so the main games I've been playing, actually, I wanted to clock Windlands 2. For those who don't know, I'm staying with the SciTech Games crowd as I did last year for Oculus Connect. So hanging out with those guys. So I thought, you know, you can't come and hang out with the guys having not beaten their game. Right?
That's very true.
Unfortunately, I hit some on the final boss repetitive bugs that prevent me from actually completing the game. So I'm nearly there, but I'm playing it on hard and I feel good. So I've gotten through and I've really been enjoying my time with that. But I've been playing loads of Firewall still. I think it's a game that for me, it's in that so important period of like grab it while it's hot. You know what I mean? Like, so, while people are new, while everyone's just not a pro at the thing, while everyone's not got all the Uber unlocks, like, just, it's like when Battlefield drops or something, a game like that, like, you have to, like, play it in that first 2 months, otherwise you miss the boat a bit. Just been kind of saturating myself in a lot of Firewall. And last, I said I was going to try Face Your Fears, the airplane experience on the go on the plane, which I spent an hour trying to get my headset and 2 different controllers, the Oculus Touch controller, the Oculus Go controller plus an Xbox One controller to sync on the plane, and wouldn't do it.
Oh,
so
wow.
I spent an hour debugging on the plane, swapping batteries, doing all the hard reset functions. Couldn't get it to connect. Once I got an internet connection again, to me it was interesting because, like, the headset would light up. I could see it from my phone that it's paired to. This thing would light up as well. So all 3 units independently were working, and I could see it. But what ended up fixing it was A, having an internet connection, and B, there is actually, for the remote, there's a hard repairing reset, which is if you hold the first 2 buttons down for 6 seconds, it does a re-blink and it doesn't. So that I didn't know, and I didn't have access to the net, unfortunately, at 30,000 feet. So that tip is important. So just hold down those 2 buttons if you run into the same trouble. So I've done 1 flight with a successful Go mission, and the second one unfortunately failed, which was the 10.5-hour flight, unfortunately.
But you didn't watch
really
any movies or anything then? You also couldn't do that?
Say again?
You also couldn't watch any movies or anything, or?
No, because I had no controller. So all I could do with the buttons was select through the menu system. And that was it. Because once you select into, let's say, navigation or library or whatever, the actual panel that comes up, you can't interact with the volume keys. So totally useless. I was just like, I could stare at the room, which there was a really interesting thing. I didn't expect this, but after you're staring at the seat in front of you for so long, right? And the screen is so close, like your eyes are quite focused on that. It was relaxing to have that open room, even with the carpet. Right, it was nice to just sit there for 5 minutes and be like, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy a carpeted room, and that was nice on the plane.
How did people react to you?
It was pretty dark. It wasn't an overnight flight anyway. We were kind of chasing the sun, let's say, but I didn't get any reactions. But Luke, one of the guys, you guys know him, who deals with community management for SciTech, he actually did the same thing, and he said he had a really good experience. But it is the first time you do a Go on a plane. It's a little bit like, I'm that weird guy putting the headset on. So I was on a business flight to London, and I felt a little bit that way, where you're like, just slip it on gently. But I actually felt totally at ease yesterday. And then unfortunately the reset and the syncing let me down. But I think there needs to be a little bit an easier way to pair stuff together when you're in the sky like that. I got a feeling like almost Bluetooth was being suppressed or something. Like, even if I was holding the units together, it's like, get them closer, and they were both working and they could see each other, but the pairing wouldn't complete. So, don't know, a little bit puzzled about the whole thing, but the Go is still functioning, so that's good.
I think we have a new world record. Like he's staying he stayed the longest time in this menu.
yeah, 10 hours straight.
I think you should open the next Guinness book now.
Yeah.
I'm not joking, though. Please, Oculus, release a DLC that straightens the carpet out. I will pay whatever you want to charge for that.
They did it in Oculus Home. Like, originally. You could have a straight carpet or the corner. Yeah, they did. They fixed it. They did fix it. But they haven't done that in the Go yet.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, they've done it on Rift. But obviously most people upgraded to Dash now, so you don't see that old carpet anymore anyway.
I need to go back to Dash.
Yeah. So what about you then, Nathan? What have you been playing in VR this week?
I played nothing.
Oh.
But I do have something interesting to show.
Okay.
So talking about broken PCs, I have a brand new PC that does work. So let me just show you real quick. It's very fast. Okay. So prepare
everyone show the finger to Nathan. Yeah, everyone show the finger to Nathan.
Hashtag PC Master Race. Here you go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So Mike, you can do the commentary if you want.
Oh, okay. So Nathan's moving the camera right now for the audio listeners to show us his beast of a machine, which has got like kind of darkened glass at the front and then a glass panel at the side. He's got 2 graphics cards in SLI. I'm not sure if are they 1080 Ti's.
Yeah, but not SLI. Just
separate. Yeah. So he keeps them separate. He doesn't SLI them because he just used 2 headsets connected at the same time. And it's a nice Republic of Gamers motherboard with a Corsair all-in-one water pump. And I think he's rocking an Intel i9 underneath that water
Okay,
pump.
okay.
So,
Let's make it a bit more exciting for our audio listeners. Oh no, the water just broke. There's water going through the PC everywhere. Oh, there's smoke coming out of it.
yeah, so that's a pretty crazy rig.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. So I am like more VR ready than ever before.
And you're going to be upgrading even more, aren't you?
Yes, I will. I'm planning to get like the new RDX cards too, like 2 of them, like TIs. So that's pretty OP, I know.
Yeah. So
it's going to be handy.
Other than your crazy beast of a machine, you've been playing around with some VR 180 cameras this week, right? Maybe you can tell us a bit more about that.
That's right. Yeah. So I traveled to London. I got invited by Google to innovate on the 180 side of things. So what I'm going to do is I will be creating a 180 content soon on the channel that you guys will see. And it's going to be something new, something next level, something different. And it's awesome to be working together with YouTube/Google to make this happen. So they gave me the opportunity to do this. They gave me funding to do it. So there's a lot of like cool stuff going on that side. So I think the first 180 video you will see on the channel is maybe happening within like 2 months. So it's gonna be great. And I will be using the Z Cam, the K1. It's like a very cool 180 camera. And
who's the manufacturer for that, Nathan?
Well, right now they are very rare. Like we had one in London to check out at this boot camp for 3 days. We could practice with all kinds of cameras, but they said they are kind of rare to get. But let's say if I order one straight from them, I would be getting one really fast because Google gives us priority. I heard so.
Who makes the camera? I'm just curious what company.
I think they are just called Z-Cam.
Z. Oh,
Z-Cam, yeah. But they had like 4 different cameras you could pick to make your 180 content because what Google wants is they want me and some other content creators to test out this new camera stuff and, just innovate, test things out, try ideas. So we had this boot camp for 3 days to learn everything. We could pick 4 cameras. They had like they said like you could use a Red Epic. That's kind of OP. It's more for filmmakers, I would say. The Yi Horizon. I think the one that Mike used before on his channel. What is the name of that one again?
Lenovo Mirage Solo. Yeah,
exactly. And then the Z Cam. So you have different price ranges. I will be picking the Z Cam because it has like decent battery life. Because said Mike on your video, the battery life of 180 cameras are still kind of tricky. So I have one that can last for an hour. But this one records like 4K 60 FPS. So that's why I also upgraded my PC because I also have to edit this huge footage. So yeah, we'll see. Stay tuned. It's kind of mysterious for now, but.
Are they good for motion? And like, I mean, I'm thinking about like, it'd be great if you had that functionality in like a GoPro, but like, is there waterproof casing? Are you able to use these on the go, or are they actually super
new.
Sensitive and they have to be still steady somewhere?
Well, you could put a steady cam on them, and make better shots, but they are not very intelligent by themselves yet. I know the new GoPro just launched, and it has like steady stuff in there, and it's crazy. But the 180 is so new that these are the first generation 180 cameras, so they will like fastly improve. But for now, you need to make things steady with software. So. Yeah.
Cool.
Very nice. Very nice. So I'll tell you what I've been up to this week. It's been a bit of a crazy week as well because I was actually in London as well. We were in London at the same time, but we just didn't get to meet up because we were both just so busy. But first up, I went to Imaginarium. They're sort of a studio based in London that specializes in like motion capture. It's actually owned by Andy Serkis, the famous actor that played Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And they also developed what was it? The Planet of the Apes game that came out maybe a couple of months back.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think any of us really were that hyped about that game, but particularly like the motion capture in that game was very impressive, and that's obviously their speciality. So they kind of talked a little bit about that. And then I got to be on their live Twitch stream as well and stream some games, some VR content, talk to them about VR, which was kind of fun. But after that meeting, I then went to another part of London and met up with a guy called Mark Towner, who's the developer of the Feel 3 motion simulator that's currently on Kickstarter right now. Now, if you love racing games, flight sims, or space combat sort of simulators, you're gonna be pretty interested in this simulator because it's like a bucket seat on a top of like a half sphere that sits on a base with some sort of omni rollers in it that can basically push the sphere around in all these different directions and rotate it. It's got like 100 degrees of pitch and roll and 3,600 degrees of yaw. So it can actually spin around completely 5 times in a row and then the opposite way 10 times. Like it's a crazy machine. So like I saw this thing and I was like, holy crap, this thing is a bit intimidating because I'm not really a sim guy myself and I've not really spent that much time in like Project Cars or anything like that. But Project Cars was the demo that I got to try. So I hopped in and at first it was just kind of a demo where I was just a passenger in the car. It was just being driven around by the AI. It was like the Stig. He was like, the AI was super fast. Like he was giving it some beans around the track and I was just like a passenger. I had no control over it whatsoever. So like as soon as he accelerated off the start line, like I got thrown straight back into my seat, replicating like the feeling of acceleration. And holy crap, like I was like clinging onto the steering wheel for dear life. And then when it was braking, it was like pitching forwards. And then when it was going
it's like the simulator that I use, where it simulates like the G-forces, right? It's not really like the movements of the car, but it's more like the G-force that you feel on your body that it tries to simulate by holding you back and forth.
Exactly, because that's what I said to Mark after my initial demo. I said, like, I felt some G-force there. And he was like, oh, you totally did. It's like 1 G-force back, 1 G-force forward. Obviously, you would feel about 5 or something in a race car. But that gives you a good sensation of what it would feel like. And then he was like, now you can just drive the thing yourself. And then that's when I was like... Like, I was so cautious because, like, I already knew what the thing was capable of. So I was like, there's no way I want to experience what it's like to spin off the track or flip the car or something like that. So I was, like, driving like Miss Daisy around this track. But I was really impressed with the actual simulator itself. And, you know, of course, you can set it up to the way you want to, you know, with a flight stick or a HOTAS, you know, to check out Elite Dangerous or some, like, War Thunder or something like that. But the best thing about this thing is that it's so cheap for what it actually is, you know, for a simulator like this, because normally to get this kind of experience, you'd have to go to a theme park or, you know, a VR arcade or, you know, a location-based VR experience. But now you can actually have this experience at home. The starting price is like $2,000 on Kickstarter. And then you can sort of upgrade it. It's completely modular, so you can add bits to it over the time if you want. But I was just really impressed with the whole experience, really, as a whole. You know, for me, Project Cars isn't really my bag, but playing it in this thing was just so next level. It just felt like a completely different experience to me. So if you're interested in like simulators and, you know, racing or sims are your bag, then definitely go and check out the Kickstarter page if you're interested. It's only got 1 more week to go. They got funded like within the first couple of hours. It's a super successful Kickstarter.
So there's one question from Jim Hall. He's asking, was there much of a perceived delay controlling the Field 3?
No, like it was instant, you know. It's connected to a PC, you know, the PC that's running your system. And then you've got like a Vive tracker that sits on the top of it to track the motion. Because what it does is it tracks the motion, then cancels that out in the headset. So like Rowdy says, your view in the headset is always kind of like straight on. But obviously you're just simulating the G-force experience and the motion. So it's kind of interesting. Cool. Yeah.
Was there any, I assume there's no force feedback or tactile to that?
Yes, there is. Sorry, I didn't mention that. There's tactile transducers. So basically, you put a butt kicker underneath the pedals, so the whole thing rumbles. So when I was on the starting line and the engine was just like revving, I could feel the whole thing rumbling. And then as soon as you accelerate, you're like, yeah, you're off.
So is this available for consumers as well? Then, if they put it on Kickstarters?
Yeah, 100%. And like Mark was saying, actually, that the most people that bought these things were just real enthusiast sim guys and girls that bought them for their homes.
Because $2,000 isn't too much.
You need to put this away somewhere, right? You need to put this in like, I don't know, like a garage or like a separate room, because you can't have that in the living room or something.
No, what was the footprint? What was the footprint? Would you say?
You're talking like
1 mic by 1 mic.
Like a meter squared, or maybe a bit higher, actually, maybe a bit taller. Like maybe 1 meter footprint, but like it maybe 1.5 meters tall in terms of all the scaffolding on top of it. Yeah, so it's a big piece of kit. But if you're into that and say you only play racing games or you only play flight sims, then you know you owe it to yourself to check it out, because like $2,000, I know it sounds expensive, but for this kind of equipment, it's really cheap, because The kind of equivalent is like tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah. I know the one that I tried, for example, was already, I think, 15,000 euros.
And that's just using like linear actuators, right? Like just moving up and down. Yeah.
How did you find the build construct of the material? Like, was it like a carbon fiber bucket, or what was the actual build of the dome?
The dome is like a really hard plastic. It was a prototype, so it wasn't 100% smooth. They were using triangle panels that interlock with each other. And in the final version, I think they're going to use hexagons, I believe I remember.
Yeah, that would make sense for a dome structure.
But yeah, it's kind of like it comes in a kit that you assemble yourself at home. So international shipping isn't a problem. I think it's like $40 to ship it internationally, so it's really cheap to get it sent out.
Imagine like I have this thing at home and it's like in the middle of my living room, and the TV is just on, and people just walk by and they see like like an ad going up and down, and they're like, what is going on here, man?
The one thing
weirder when it's like no one in there, you forgot to turn it off or something, or something is playing, it keeps on spinning everywhere, like.
One thing Mark said that really interested me was that you could almost simulate it in any game. So if you wanted to, using like the Apollo 11 experience, you could tilt the chair the whole way back 90 degrees so you're facing upwards and simulate like a space launch or something like that using it. Which would be so cool.
Wait, so you would be able to play Vroom Kaboom and VR cards on it too?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
It does actually sound enticing, even though the price point isn't too bad for a simmer. A simmer would be happy to drop that, you know. So.
Yeah, especially when you think about like the RTX cards. You know, they're £1,200 each. You know, it's like so.
And you can't write
after the podcast, Mike.
You can't write those cards.
Yeah, you can't. Although you can wear one as a necklace going through security, apparently.
or as shoes. Sandals.
Shoes, yeah, exactly. So, talking about rockets, let's move on to our first bit of quick news then, because let's start talking about SpaceX in VR.
Oh my God.
John from the SciTech team saying hello.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Plugging his
it is mirrored, though. It is mirrored.
Oh, it's mirrored, is it?
Tell John we look forward to our check in the post.
That didn't fix it.
So yeah, let's talk about SpaceX in VR, because as you probably know, SpaceX is owned by Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, you know, you got to appreciate the dude is a freaking genius. He's been pushing space exploration with SpaceX, you know, electric cars with Tesla. Now he's talking about digging tunnels under LA to solve like the congestion problem in LA.
Crazy.
But his plan, if you're not aware, is to take tourists to the moon via SpaceX. And he's opened this up to people to buy tickets for the first ride. And he's got his first up already. But the thing is, if you can't afford the millions of dollars for a ticket, well, we're going to have the next best thing ready for you. And that is that you're going to be able to watch this epic journey in VR. And Musk tweeted last week on Twitter, he said, the moon mission will be live streamed in high-def VR, so it will be like you're there in real time, minus a few seconds for the speed of light delay. So, you know, you're going to be able to experience this in a VR headset. Actually, you know, the first passenger journey to the moon, which is going to just be insane.
But like,
because even
isn't that just some dude sitting there shitting himself for like 10 days while he's getting his way to the moon? Like, this is not what people picture as like blast off or landing. It's just coal black space. Dude sat in a pod like fucking. Oh God, what have I done? You know what? For 10 days. I want to watch that for sure, and definitely in VR.
Yeah. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. Like, you know, it's happening at the earliest in 2023. So you've got some time to save some pennies if you don't have a VR headset already. Plus, the industry has some time to develop some nicer headsets, some better technology, mainstream then, so everyone in their will have them in their homes so they can check it out. But I think this is going to be one of those moments in time where it's kind of going to be a moment in history that just goes down in the history books as one of those epic moments, you know. And for me, I've always been super intrigued about like the moon, and you know, the fact that we went there such a long time ago. I'd love to the fact that they're going back and they're going to sort of document it in high definition, so you're going to actually experience it yourself. It's going to be so freaking.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah,
I want to go to the. I don't want to go to the moon, but I would love to just go around it and then go back. I mean, just having that is like awesome. I would totally like spend my money on that.
Yeah, well,
I love that idea.
I think that was Richard Branson's idea, right?
Yeah, you need a lot of money for sure.
Yeah, I think Richard Branson was doing that with Virgin Intergalactic. Yeah.
Well, I know that. Do you know the price tag it was for the first ticket?
It was millions. It was millions. So I think
Was
it was
like
going
an
to
auction? Did he like put
It
it on
wasn't
eBay?
disclosed, I think. I don't think the
No,
exact price was disclosed, but it's a Japanese billionaire, so...
Yeah, exactly. The dude that bought the first ticket is a Japanese billionaire.
Okay.
But they said it was going to cost
Japanese.
about $1 billion to do this mission.
I kind of like this guy who's going to be the first one that goes to the moon. I kind of like this guy. I never heard of him before, but he did his introduction, talk about like why he wanted to go to the moon. Like this guy.
Although apparently he wants to bring on some artists as well.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. He's not going alone.
Maybe there's still a shot for us to go there with him.
I sing.
Yeah.
I sing every day in the shower. So if you need a singer, then there you go.
I don't even like flying that much, so going to the moon, I think that's kind of like out of my range, you know.
Yeah.
I'd pay to watch you, Mike. I'd pay to watch you. You can be that guy.
I'll just be the dude literally like throwing up the whole way there.
But don't like if you go to the moon, don't you need that space training astronauts usually have where they go in those fast like things and you get like crazy sick and they test you to
black
the
out.
Yeah, you're gonna need to do that for sure. It's a big commitment.
If anyone's not watched that, actually the G-force training that they put, astronauts through, you should watch it. It's really interesting to see the effects of high G-forces on the human body.
Oh, yeah.
And also people, like there are some humans who are just better at it than others at taking Gs. And seeing guys, pull 8, 9 Gs, whatever, faces like flattened against their skull and all this kind of stuff, and they're still doing it. Like, well, hats off to them.
If you want to see like cool space training stuff and behind the scenes things SpaceX is doing and NASA, you can watch Space Explorers episode 2. So then you can actually stand in the training room and be a part of it. So
there you go.
Also, we have someone saying Elon is God. He's getting some of my cash next year. Ordered a Model 3.
Nice.
And then we have
Eric
watching us right now saying, I'm looking forward to seeing you all at OC5.
Oh, yeah, definitely, Kent. Hey, how you doing, man?
We have Eric saying that we should apply to become the VR cameraman.
Oh.
Hey. Bearing in mind that I struggled with 1G on the Phil 3 simulator, I don't think I'm going to come very well.
You struggled with 1G? That's just general gravity, right?
I struggle with gravity. It's confirmed. Mike exposed.
Mike, like you see Mike on the ship, and then you see him like trying to record things, and after a while it's just apple juice. He's like just melting.
Right. Okay.
Poor Mike.
So let's spin on then. Let's talk about the Valve Knuckles, because this week we got a development blog on Steam from Valve announcing that they've just finished their 3rd revision of the highly anticipated Knuckles controllers, and they're going to be shipping them out to developers relatively soon. Now, these controllers, if you're not familiar with them, they're going to work with Steam and Lighthouse tracking. You have now thumbsticks on them, which they upgraded in the last revision, and you've got like a real narrow trackpad that you can use your thumb to swipe up and down a menu on each controller as well. And the really cool thing about these controllers, if you're not aware of them, is that they strap to the back of your hands with a strap, so you can completely let go of the controller with your hands, but it still sort of retains its position, so you can just then grab it again and it's directly in the right place. And the cool thing is that it features individual finger tracking. So what you can do is, if you just give it, your index finger, it will track that, and then that's represented in game in real time. And then the other thing is, it's got grip sensors. So if you grip it really, really hard, say if you gripped a glass or something like that in game, you could actually grip it hard enough that you could break it, for example. So it's kind of got that mechanic in the controller. That you can
break the controllers and just like
you can squish things. You can squish things and grab things depending on how much grip you give it, which is really interesting as a feature. And I'm excited to see how developers integrate that into a game mechanic. Whether it be like breaking a glass or grabbing someone by the throat and interrogating them or something. That would be kind of cool.
What kind of VR games are you getting into, Mike? My God.
Well, I kind of got like the spy games in my mind, and we're going to be talking about some spy games later on. So that's kind of why I was thinking about interrogating people.
That would work well for a Hitman title. I just played Hitman on the go earlier this week, which is not like what you just described at all.
No,
anyway.
not
it's
quite.
Kind of weird that we're talking about pressure sensitivity, and the first thing that Mike says, torturing people, interrogating people,
Yeah, it's
just in my blood. What can I say?
Number 1 use, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the question I'm asking myself is this these controllers, are they going to bundle with a newer headset that we haven't like seen yet, that hasn't been announced yet? Is this just going to be a separate thing, like you buy an Xbox gamepad and then you buy a new one, but in the end people need to develop for it. So I feel like they're still like searching someone that wants to maybe buy these. Could that be?
It's a dangerous thing, though, because it's again like fragmenting the market a little bit, because now you have people with touch, you have people with Vive ones, and you will have people with knuckle controllers. And game developers need to make sure that the games work on all of those different platforms for people that play on PC VR. Because if you have a game that's on the Oculus Go, then you have another controller, and then it needs to be gamepad support or whatever. You know, there's so many kind of different levels that get associated with this.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, aside from that, Nathan, I think you've tried them. I'm curious. This year, I don't know how many of you who've worn like tight gloves and things like that. I mean, I wear gloves quite a bit. It's part of the brand. But there's fatigue if you strap anything around this space. So I'm quite nervous at fatigue for, wearing these Knuckles controllers for hours. That way, I think it's going to feel uncomfortable pretty quick. Within an hour, I'd say.
Interesting.
Would be my guess, but I don't know. Like, did you find any of that when you first demoed it? I guess it was only 15 minutes or something.
Yeah, well, I just tried it out real quick, so I didn't play for it for hours. So I don't know. But it's kind of nice to have like hands-free. So like usually when I play VR games, I sometimes like drink something or I do something else on my computer. So it's kind of all around. I think like Valve is gonna sell it. I think they are going to like look for an investor. I don't know, like, or maybe Valve's like, we have seen HTC do this, and we now kind of know how the market is, how things work, and they just release something themselves. Would they be
another headset?
No.
They just made They made the Steam Link. They made a controller. They never made something that, like, big. So would they be interested in doing that?
I think so, because like this has been in development now for like 2 years now. Like devs have had them for a long time. So I'm sure if devs are going to implement something like this in their game, then they would have done so by now. But it's just a case of we haven't seen those updates because they haven't been publicly available. Because I remember talking to the Cloudhead guys about it ages ago on the show, and they had them then, and they were talking about integrating that into their Gallery 2 game. Yeah. So I think it's just a case of when these get released, all these games will just start updating with Knuckles integration. But I think Valve will just release these through Steam, just like they did with the Steam controller and the Steam Link. Yeah. And I think it will just be completely standalone. So it won't be with a headset. They'll just sell it as a product.
I do wonder how hard it will be to integrate it. I really wonder that, because that's gonna make or break it, I think. Because if it's simply like installing like a different kit and it's over and done with, that'd be great. But if it's indeed like needs to be remapped entirely for every controller,
I think Valve's gonna make something that easily converts it.
Yeah,
I think they will do that.
I hope so.
But there's new functionality that you were talking about, so there's got to be some kind of API track there. But I'm just wondering, is it going to be like the Wii Nunchuck when they added the bolt-on piece? Because you mentioned market segmentation, and that's actually my main concern as well, which is if you're not bundling it with a brand new headset, in other words, everyone's got to get on board and get this thing, kind of like what they did with the Kinect camera when they brought out the the new Xbox. I'm just wondering, what's that segment going to look like? Is that 10%? Is that 100% of...
If there's anyone that's got a load of stats about what headsets are out there, it's Valve through Steam. And I think they know the market, and what they saw is that they've seen a problem in the space and thought, this is our solution for it. But what I do like is the fact that we're getting to a point where there kind of could be modularity. So it's kind of a case of like, I'll get a Pimax headset, I'll get the Valve Knuckles, and I'll get the Lighthouse 2.0 tracking base stations. And then you kind of mix and match the systems,
Yeah. But what I do know, if they throw this on Steam, on the Steam store, it's gonna sell pretty well because it's out there in the open. There's so many users. I still don't think Valve is gonna make their own headset. I think you might be able to buy this. I don't know, like it's already out in the open, so you wouldn't think they are going to sell it to a company like HTC. I think they just want to make it as easy to implement as an extra thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But it would be so nice where you could just, for example, use these controllers with your Rift or with your Pimax. You're right. I love that idea.
But at the same time, with modularity, there's also There's also issues, huh? I mean, look at, like, for example, Android and iPhone. iPhone has their own ecosystem, it's very close, you know, everything that's on there works. Well, with Android, you can mix and switch brands altogether, but there's always, like, something that could be not functioning properly. The same with PCs.
Configuration permutations.
Yeah, exactly. So, in a way, so early stage, I don't think that a closed ecosystem is a bad thing, because you get to refine and redefine all the formats, you get to set everything straight, which is helpful later if there is modularity in there. So, I mean, I kind of understand. I mean, Oculus is more going onto that, like, you know, that's yeah, that iPhone route, that closed ecosystem. I don't think that's such a bad thing.
But let's say if these, and I'm not going to go too deep in this because then we all go crazy again. Let's say these 3 games they are working on are very good and people play them and it becomes super popular and it becomes a milestone for VR and it pushes the industry forward rapidly. Then people want that all the time. So they want these controllers, like the things you can do in those games, want to have them as a standard. And then as a developer, you do.
But then it's because of the experiences on them, not particularly because of the controllers. I mean, if they would release, let's say, Half-Life 3 with the Steam Knuckle controllers, it doesn't matter if they release a headset or not. Everyone will buy it and will buy the headset that will work with those Knuckle controllers. So
system sellers.
That would be the smartest thing for them, is to bundle it with a really hot game. You know, Portal in VR or Half-Life or Left 4 Dead. That would be epic. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So as we're talking about the Pimax, let's quickly just touch on that before we sort of move on to what's releasing next week. And last week we mentioned that the embargo was lifting on Sunday, the 16th of September. So the M1 beta testers could talk about their experience with the Pimax and put out some reviews. Friends of the show, Sweeviver, Mixed Reality TV, and Voodoo DE all released their videos last week. And if you want to know anything about the Pimax, go and check out these guys' channels. Some of them have got videos on these products for like over 2 hours going into real in-depth detail about them. But to basically break it down into what I got from it was that they all seem to think that the headsets are pretty decent. That all round they said they were good. They also sort of stated that the field of view, the larger field of view, is a complete game changer and really feels like Gen 2 in terms of VR. You know, and that it would be difficult for them to now go back to a Gen 1 headset, you know, with a 110 degrees field of view. Some of the options that they stated, that, you know, there's 3 different options in terms of dialing down or up the field of view. So you can have it small, which is, I think, is about 110, medium is 150, and then large is 170 degrees field of view. And you can dial it down based on the specs of your PC, I guess, to increase performance.
That's software or hardware controlled, Mike?
Software through Python, apparently. Yeah.
Okay.
Feedback that the 8K is very performance hungry, and the really, you know, the 5K plus is the headset to go for, was the sort of unanimous decision from all 3 of them, because it wasn't just performance, but it was also because the clarity of the display was better.
There's a high pixel density, you know.
Well, also that it was pumping through the 140p stream from the PC natively rather than pumping through the 140p 1440p stream and then upscaling it on 110 140. I'm getting confused. So yeah, because it isn't upscaling it was performing better natively on the 5K plus. So they were saying that the 5K plus is better generally for gaming. And Sebastian from Mixed Reality TV was saying that the 8K is maybe slightly better for watching movie content if you're just going to watch movie content solely on the headset. But generally across the board, the 5K Plus is the one to go for.
So anyone interested in getting one? Like I want to get a 5K. I don't know about you guys.
Well, I backed the 8K, so I'm going to change my backing to the 5K Plus. And then they'll just bolster that with some accessories to make it up to the same price. But also the very interesting thing that I also got out of all the videos was that Oculus is natively supported with this headset in terms of, like, you don't need Revive to run an Oculus game on the Pimax. Basically, the Python just imports all your Oculus games and you can run them from Python directly, which I thought was interesting. They've done some wizardry behind the scenes there that you don't need to use Revive or anything else.
Don't you think they might try to kind of block that? Because they never had access to this Python. Now it's out, and now they can also get it and check it out themselves. I don't know.
I would be
what is that?
surprised.
Is that like a fork of Revive, or like is there already any information on like how they do it?
No, Revive has said they were very cagey about that.
So it is a fork. It's not their code then.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows how it works? But obviously the controllers, that their controllers aren't out yet. Their base stations aren't out yet, so you're going to still need to use Vive controllers and base stations, and some of those don't really work well with Revive, even with full support from Revive. Vive controllers and Oculus controllers are very different. So, but some games are going to work that way. So it's kind of interesting that it's supported anyway.
But their controllers, like the Pimax controllers, are almost like an exact replica of the Vive controllers in a way.
Well, they look more like the Knuckles actually. So it's going to be interesting how, because they
want to changed it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They want to implement finger tracking as well. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But I don't think they're going to be ready till way next year. Sort of late next year, I don't think. So yeah,
I just hope. Sorry,
just a comment on last week's Pimax news. I mean, my reaction to the whole thing is like I want it, right? Those from a hardware perspective, I'm interested in the extended field of view and that, but I want it from somebody else. I'm not convinced in Pimax's pedigree with customer support and actually manufacturing. I don't think they have the years behind them to manufacture equipment to the degree that I would want it as a consumer. I've seen the build materials, and to be honest, they look subpar. And I'm not convinced at that. So, a year from now, a year and a half from now, hearing about hardware failures, I wouldn't be surprised. So we'll see how they do. I mean, I do wish them well, because they've decided to go and corner a totally different peg in the market. But frankly, I want someone else to do the same thing. Someone like an Oculus or an HTC to do the same thing.
But that's like Zim is right. Like, how solid is the headset after months of use and things like that? Like, I think they should just bump up their marketing strategy a bit more. I don't think they have been doing enough themselves to promote this headset. If they don't, they will kind of have an issue there, because the VR enthusiasts that back this and the people that are early adopters, they will not be able to get this to the main crowd. They need to do it. Like, Pimax themselves need to do it. So I hope they find a way to kind of market this between the other titans that are trying it. Because right now they haven't been doing much. Even when the reviews launched, and it was like a big moment because we could finally watch videos and get in. So they didn't do much. They didn't say much. They have a Twitter account. They have a Facebook account. I don't really see anything going on there. It's
the marketing was done for them, by the M1 testers.
But now the testers are done, and now it's up to them to carry this whole thing forward. And I
agree with Nathan's point. They need to be, because right now the name, the brand, like, who knows about it?
Yeah, the VR community is they might make a headset popular at the start and make the funding happen, but in the end, it's the main crowd out there that picks a Pimax instead of a Rift or a Vive or a PlayStation VR, So they need to squeeze themselves between that in the European market and the American market. I think in Asia, they do fine, but in the other parts of the world, they kind of need to step it up. Otherwise, people just still buy other headsets.
Yeah, the thing is, and I know it's gonna sound very strange, but I think that the large field of view is very hard to convince people of when they don't have the headset. When they're only looking on a screen, on the 2D screen, and they see that warped screen, or they see just a general screen. For a lot of people that have never tried VR, that will not click. They will not understand that. Oh yeah, but it's when I watch it, the warping doesn't see that much, or I get the full field of view. It's gonna be hard to convince people that this is a better headset compared to the ones that are out there with the bigger names. I think that's a very hard task to do for them.
Same as tactile. I agree with you, Reddit, because it's too hard to sell immersive depth. The importance of immersive depth.
I think consumers are looking for something that is easy to set up, is just laying at a shelf, and it's like, okay, I just buy it. Also, talking about buying, can buy is oh, that's a funny one, right? Says Pimax weight distribution has trade-offs. Also, folks who have glasses won't benefit as much from peripheral vision.
Yeah, and also an interesting point that Sebastian made in one of his videos was that because of the wide field of view, 170 degrees, smooth locomotion was very difficult for him again. Like he'd adjusted himself to traditional 110 degrees smooth locomotion, but almost because it's a wider field of view, you've got that more peripheral vision that's moving.
Yep.
He had to retrain himself to get over that kind of motion sickness again. So that's going to be another hurdle for them, which I don't think has been really that widely talked about.
Didn't we talk about VR headsets for chickens at once? I mean, chickens would love this because they have a naturally wide field of view. We should bring that video back, Mike, and we should go back to that.
Can we bring that back, please?
Oh my god! Okay,
if you guys missed it. That was great.
That was
like there is
being in the sunshine is clearly affecting him. You know, being outside.
Between men and women, right? I think men have a narrower field of view, if I'm not mistaken, and women get a couple extra degrees. If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I'm not so sure about that. It could be.
I think I've heard that. From
an evolutionary point of view, it would make sense, but I don't know if there's really that much of a difference between men and women in their peripheral
it's probably
vision.
minor, yeah.
But the Pimax, you know, they're going to start shipping end of this month, all throughout up till December. So hopefully I can get my hands on one and sort of give you my hands-on impressions and let you know what I think.
Last but not least, there is no consumer price announced yet, right, for this Pimax. So we don't know how much it's going to be. Not
for consumers that didn't back it, no.
Okay.
It's going to be more expensive than the Kickstarter for sure.
But it's not going to be available this year, right? Because even the Kickstarter backers are not necessarily getting it before Q1.
Exactly. Yeah, they said 90% of them would get them before Christmas. Yeah.
Okay.
They're in a tough spot.
Wait, is that with the base stations and controllers or only the headset?
No, because I was one of those people that pre-ordered with base stations and controllers, and all I'm going to get is a headset. So you need Vive controllers and you need Vive base stations.
Yeah. God, that's so rough. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And they're going to be really scarce to get hold of in the next few months. So if you've got one coming, get them now.
Or you could use your alt kit from the DK1, you know? You don't need, first of all, like sentors, and then you can use Hydras. And then play games from the DK1 time with the Pimax.
Although you're young, you're like the granddad in the corner. In my time, we had my DK1. Anyway, let's spin on to some games that are releasing next week. So we've got a few titles. Well, we've got two titles to talk about. We've got Creed Rise to Glory, the latest title from Servios. You can play as Adonis Creed, fighting toe-to-toe with the world's top opponents to establish your boxing legacy. You can also train with the legendary Rocky Balboa and then step into the spotlight and take down a cast of champion-level opponents in high-stakes fights. You've got like the single-player career mode. You've got a training mode so you can train and get into shape. And then you've got an online multiplayer mode so you can fight with your friends as well. So that kind of sounds fun that you can fight with your mates.
The multiplayer is the most attractive thing. I've played Creed. I found it to be quite arcadey compared to other boxing sims. That's the only thing and the voice acting, which is like the whole Sylvester Stallone type, talk over, I actually found to be a little bit annoying. I hope they tweaked that.
Is it more arcadey than Knockout League?
I can't compare to Knockout League. It was a different one that I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of Thrill of the Fight?
Yeah, Thrill of the Fight is great. If you want
that's a good one.
It's just like, and the physical presence of the boxers. Like there's this one dude who I said he was like a Puerto Rican guy, who just like, you're like, whoa, this guy's coming at me. He was all over me, But like, if you want to really get a sweat on, the thing that I really liked about it was, and I asked the Creed guys to consider, one of the things they did was they took the Vive controller and they had it rotated in your hand so it would cup it like this. So you're not holding it in the normal way. The controller's faces are actually either this way or that way instead of forward.
Wow.
And it means that you're gripping the controller in a way that makes it very natural to punch and also reduces the chance of knocking the controllers together.
Of course.
Really helps though in the mode. So like when the Knuckles release, obviously those are going to do really well in a boxing game.
Yeah. And that's coming out on Tuesday the 25th for Rift, Vive, and PSVR. So check that one out if you're interested.
Also for the OHO?
I don't know if Windows MR headsets are supported because it's not on the Steam page, but generally speaking, most games are supported by Windows MR.
Let's just hope it's not too repetitious.
Woo!
Oh man. Okay. So next up is Hotel Transylvania Popstic.
Is that the title?
Yeah.
Hotel Transylvania Popstic.
Popstic, yeah. We mentioned a while back, after Beat Saber was a huge success, that there'd be people out there cloning the idea of making their own beat rhythm games, and this is kind of one of the first big ones to come out since Beat Saber. But this one is made by Specular Theory and Sony Pictures, because obviously Hotel Transylvania is Sony Pictures IP. But it's
Mike, I know nothing about it. Is it like a kid's movie or something?
Thing. Yeah,
is it like a movie about like a vampire? It's like a horror movie, but then for kids and a cartoon.
I've seen a part of that one, but I didn't finish it.
It's a bit Pixar-y. Yeah,
I'm the one dad here, and I don't know the kids.
It's like family, like a cartoony mansion, and it's kind of cool. Yeah.
That's it.
But what's the popstick thing about? What?
Okay, I think it's the controller.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's an accessory that you buy with the game separately, and basically
hardware.
Yeah, so it's like a little
hardware.
Sims face.
Like a T-piece plastic tube that you put a Vive controller in, and then you hold the handles of it and do like this.
That sounds horrible.
But you can't play it without the popstick. It's just an optional extra. But obviously, this game was originally in VR arcades. And now it's coming for home users, so you can check it out. But basically, you have to move your entire body around to match fast-moving patterns of colorful orbs flying towards you with corresponding colors. On each of your popstick or wands, you have to match it up, connect the dots, ride the rails, or deactivate lasers without missing a beat.
They didn't really think this name through, like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to play with my popstick.
Yeah. You might raise a few eyebrows there for sure.
Johnny, it's time for us to sit down and have a talk.
But basically what they've done is, like in Beat Saber, a lot of people did those kind of Darth Maul modes where you've got like two controllers with a toilet roll wrapped around and tape in the middle. That's basically what they've done, and that's exactly what Hotel Transylvania is.
But if you call it popstick, it's way less cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But dual lightsaber popstick.
It's for kids though. It's for kids. It's not really. I don't think it's aimed at us.
When we were making this hand motion, I did not picture the Darth Maul dual saber motion. I pictured some kind of like step machine in the air.
It's fixed like this, so it is that same motion as the Darth Maul thing.
But honestly, where do you buy this?
You have to buy it online from their website, apparently.
How much is it? Like,
I have no idea. I've only seen one person. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like Helix VR or someone. They tweeted a picture of it, and I was like, okay.
Why did you bring this up?
Do no more research. Let's just next topic.
Okay, like they emailed me asking if I wanted to have one. I didn't respond to that just yet, but now after this talk,
you need one.
Try now.
Would you like to have my popstick?
Yeah, I do want to have a popstick.
You could make one yourself, easy enough.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
I don't know how it would work with the Oculus controllers, because I think it's only designed for life.
Imagine kids can decorate their popsticks, and then they can just use it in VR. No, but like with stickers and things, I think that's kind of cool.
Zim has a lot of experience using his popstick in VR, right?
Well, that escalated quickly.
Oh man. We need to move on.
He's an expert in using his popstick in VR, to be more precise. He tried a lot of stuff with his popstick.
We need subject matter experts to cover every corner of the field.
That is true. That's why you have a popstick.
Right. So if you're interested in this game, it's coming out on the 25th, Tuesday, for Rift and Vive. So you can go
also, it's $8 according to the chat. So it's cheap for a popstick, right?
Oh man.
Okay, yeah.
Let's talk about our main topic this week.
Yeah,
and that is the Google DayDream. Let's move on. So this week, Google revealed that they're making an experimental accessory, not a popstick, for their Lenovo Mirage Solar headset, and they're going to be adding 6 degrees of freedom controllers. So you've got the Lenovo Mirage Solo, which is a standalone headset, which has got 6 degrees of head tracking, but it's limited with a 3 degrees of tracking controller. So what they're planning is, with this experimental accessory, is adding 6 degrees of freedom controllers to the already 6 degrees of freedom head tracking headset. And what they're going to be doing that with is this replaceable faceplate, which kind of attaches to the front of the headset with some straps and then plugs in via USB to power it. And then you can track these 6 degrees of freedom controllers using that new faceplate. Kind of looks like they look like the Nolo kit. Yeah, exactly.
Nolo. Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting timing that this is kind of announced just ahead of Oculus Connect, when Oculus is going to be announcing their, Santa Cruz, talking about that more. So it seems like they're just saying, hey, we're still here. We are doing something ourselves that's going to be similar, a similar capable headset in terms of what it can achieve. But I think really for them, it really needs developers to take this kit on board, start developing some games, get some exclusive titles that are really killer apps for their platform. Because otherwise, I don't really see the appeal of using a headset like this right now, especially when you've got Oculus coming out the gates with, all this first-party content, that they're sort of supporting developers, really pumping money into sort of games. So I don't know.
Google just needs their own standalone, like the Go, or something in that range, I would say. This is still kind of like from the old gen, like
there's all that
VR, But I still kind of think it's cool. Like if you could upgrade your Samsung Gear VR with something like this, would be a plus. There's still a lot of users that have one like that.
You do that with the Nolo kit, but it's just so difficult to use. That's why I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, this all goes back to Rowdy's point. Actually, doesn't it?
I think I've got 6 of them sitting here in boxes right now. I don't know what to do with the things.
I still need to unpack mine even. They sent it to me like months ago. I still haven't been able to unpack it.
Yeah. Months ago, yeah, what the heck.
So yeah, I think it's interesting that they're pushing this. I think, it's a good step forward, but I just don't know whether it's kind of a bit... I don't know. It really needs games. We've said before, content is king. Without the killer apps, why would someone go for this over an Oculus Santa Cruz? Because I know they're going to be coming out of the gates with loads of exclusive titles.
Yeah, or they need to make a new 3D hat.
That's another thing that I just wanted to mention here, because for people who don't know about this week and Oculus Connect and watching it and all that, it's very akin to like the Apple keynote, right? That happens once a year. This is like when the curtains open and they show off what's going to be coming. Sometimes in the next year, even along with kind of current news, and I think it's just really important that people tune in. It's a really exciting show to watch.
Yeah.
So like I definitely recommend people
and we're gonna be
who don't know, because like Connect, it sounds like, and it was originally a developer meetup.
It is, yeah.
And it's just it's interesting because I think people wouldn't necessarily naturally say like, oh, that's something I want to listen to or something I want to watch, but I would definitely stress that people should check it out.
Yeah, it's very important. We're going to be talking more about that in a moment. But yeah, I just thought I'd just put it out there in terms of news. I think it's kind of interesting that they're pushing it forward. But, I just think, like I said, they need the killer app to really make it stand out from the crowd right now. So let's talk about something that could be a killer app, and that is Espire 1. This game kind of came out of nowhere for me. I'd never really heard of it before, but it's been in development for a long time now. But it's an awesome new looking game developed by Digital Load, and it's being published by Tripwire Interactive.
Can you spell that for our audio listeners, Mike? Because it's not an A, right? It's E?
Espire, yeah. Espire, then the number 1. So it's being published by Tripwire, the devs that brought you Killing Floor Incursion. Espire 1 is going to be a single-player VR experience focused on stealth, espionage, and action. Now, this is where I got the out people thing. I just had espionage in my mind. But this is interesting. It's a VR game within VR. So what it is you play a character that is using VR to control a badass robot that's going on secret stealth missions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's like a military application for VR.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah, so you're a remote operative controlling this robot that's going on secret missions. It's like kind of GoldenEye in a way, because the missions are timed. So the whole idea is that they're pushing replayability, and that once you've completed the story missions, you go back to do them faster or in different ways to kind of maximize your sort of using different gadgets, different mechanics to get the best times, which will then go on
gold,
a leaderboard.
silver, bronze kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And they actually posted some gameplay of this about a year ago. Someone did a let's play of the very early build of the game, and it's got some really cool mechanics in it that I've not really seen before. And they had like a gadget camera, and you can actually detach the camera part of it and then peek it round a corner, and then you've got like a screen showing what's around the corner on your other hand, so you can use it to peek around corners, spot where enemies are. Which seems like a really interesting mechanic.
Military use that today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Police force uses that kind of equipment today.
Yeah, and they've also implemented a mechanic that we've just recently seen in Stormland, where if you tap the side of the headset, then you get like a thermal imaging view, which is kind of cool.
No, you reminded me back to the days of the DK1 when they had you like knock the headset for control, like tap to start the game and stuff. I gotta put this out there. I do think it is not a good idea. You'd be knocking around the electronics.
You won't actually do that, but you've got to sort of replicate the movement of tapping your headset, you know, with the controller, and that will bring up.
Oh, right. So it's okay. That's different.
Yeah. But also something that we've not really seen much in many games is voice commands. So you can sneak up behind enemies and say freeze or don't move, and they'll actually put their hands up and you can hold them up, which is kind of interesting.
I think that's so cool, those kind of things. Like I know that Zim is a bit like iffy about those kind of things, but I think that stealth in a game, in a VR game, is really like next level. Like I really want to see more stealth games in virtual reality, just because if you get immersed in a game like that, it's so much cooler to do that in virtual reality. I think that's so awesome to see stuff like that happening.
Yeah, and like the best stealth game we've got out right now is Budget Cuts. You know, it's an amazing stealth game. And like you said, I got so immersed into that game, I was really moving around my environment here because I was wireless as well. But especially that feeling of being up high, like in a like a vent, and then looking down in the room below. And wanting to put your head almost through the floor to look out of the vent. That was like a game changer for me.
But those games are so nice because they make use out of room scale, and that's rare nowadays. You know, so having to really crawl and do like physical things is great. I'm very curious. Yeah,
it sounds good. Did you equate it to Metal Gear Solid earlier, Mike?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Is it third person or is it first person?
No, it's first person. Like you would play Solid Snake. You'd play that kind of character. You know, you've got all this arsenal of gadgets. You've got weaponry.
Sam Fisher.
It's very sort of futuristic. You can hold people up. You know, you can climb.
Wait, so you're saying this is kind of like Metal Gear? So would you then be able to send a sheep to space with a balloon?
Not the new Metal Gear. I'm talking OG Metal Gear.
Oh, sorry.
Walking boxes.
No, but like in terms of the voice command thing, I just wanted to kind of put that in a box for people who didn't understand. So like one of the things is like this week I said I was playing a lot of Firewall. I was playing with a guy from Israel. He had a newborn kid or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I can't talk a lot because my baby's asleep in the other room." When you talk to me about a stealth game, a single player, like that's something that people who are in a dorm room with somebody who's maybe sleeping or something, like gaming away, to have to interact with the to kind of need to interact verbally.
It's like the end of Jumanji when you have to shout out Jumanji to finish the game.
Jumanji! Right. So if you just be like saying it like 3 a.m., it's like freeze. It just seems like it would be.
That always reminds me when it's like voice commands. It always reminds me of that video that Josh Dobb did once time in Onward. Did you guys ever see that?
No.
That you have to, like, if you want to, it was hilarious how he did it, since he like got a lot of people to do it as well. It's like if you want to summon like a black hawk, you need to put your hand above your head and then shout really hard "Black Hawk," but really fast. And there were like people doing it. They were like "Bakak, bakak, bakak, bakak," like the entire time. It was hilarious to see that. So yeah, I do think that voice commands can be hilarious. Yeah.
I think the best example of voice commands right now is Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. We played with Don recently, a VR gamer dude, and he was playing that with just the voice commands alone, wasn't he? He was actually the commander of the ship, and giving out all these kind of voice commands to his crew. It was so cool.
That's cool. I didn't know it had
really
that
cool
functionality.
Yeah, it uses what AI does it use, Nathan? You'll know which one I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's called now.
But it used like the voice from an actual Star Trek actor. That's what I know. I don't know the program, but
is it Dangerous using that as well?
Yeah. I don't know.
Elite Dangerous, you can use voice attack to interface with a lot of different PC games. That's what I use. That's great. It's like $8. A great piece of software.
Yeah. But with the Espire 1, also you can climb up walls and scale things, so you can like jump from above. And also it's got like a bullet time feature. So I don't know if you noticed it in the trailer. We've been talking about this for a little while now, like a Max Payne style bullet time thing.
Oh,
there was a part in the trailer where he jumps from the top of a container down and takes 3 enemies out in one little shootout. Oh, it looks so freaking cool.
I just rewatched The Matrix on a plane yesterday, Mike, like the original, like, greeny looking one. Like, I gotta say, man, what a perfect film.
Oh, yeah.
But it just makes me want to do that in VR, right? Like the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. So this game is actually going to be releasing in 2019, but it's likely, I would say likely that we're going to be able to demo it at OC5 because the devs recently stated on Facebook that they're going to be there. So I would be surprised if we don't get hands-on with this game at OC5. So there you go.
On the voice command thing, the other thing I just mentioned quickly, virtual desktop, if anyone doesn't know about it, is also something that's got some voice command capabilities. So you can kind of launch apps and things like that.
Is that compatible with the Popstic or not?
To be tested, I suppose. I'll leave that one for Nathan.
So as we're talking about OC5, let's round up the show with our predictions of what we think is going to be at the show. So if you're heading to the event and you want to meet up with us, just reach out to us via Twitter or reach out to us via email. Maybe we can meet up at the show, hang out for a little bit. Loads of opportunity to do stuff like that there. But if you can't make it to the show, don't worry, because the keynote is live streamed to Oculus venues. Now, the good thing is that you can watch the whole show in a VR headset, such as the Go or the Gear VR. Unfortunate thing is that if you own a Rift, you're kind of out of luck. And I still don't really understand why this is the case, that venues isn't in the Rift. It seems annoying as well, because most of the real sort of enthusiast gamers into VR, I'd say, would have a Rift.
Yep.
And they would be the ones that really want to see what's at OC5. And they're kind of cutting out a big part of their audience there. So I have no idea why that is the case. But if you do have a Go or a Gear, then you can check out the keynote, because it starts at 10 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday the 26th. So you
Everyone
can
watch it also overseas?
I believe so, using venues, yes, if you own a headset, or you can just watch it on a Pancake monitor. I'm sure it's going to be live streamed.
But get it set up early and test it early. That's what I'd say, because things have been a little squirrely before in that app for me.
Yeah, so you can check out the keynote. You can also check out the VR League finals, which are going to be shown there. And you can also check out the keynote from John Carmack, which is always super interesting. And I would urge you to check it out. It's kind of unscripted, and he just kind of waffles on about stuff he's developing, but it's so interesting. The guy is just super interesting. But also something that we found out this week is that previously we've talked about the Void. They're actually going to have the Void at OC5, and they're going to be showing Secrets of the Empire, so we can all check it out. And hopefully there'll be a moment where we can assemble, F.Reality assemble, and then just check it out together. Fingers crossed.
And the lines are going to be way shorter too, so you can try it as much as you want.
Exactly.
Right? I think.
I hope so.
Connect is nice that way. It's not oversubscribed, given it's kind of $400 a ticket.
Yeah.
Not so.
Mainly developers and real high-end enthusiasts. Yeah.
So you're buying like an expensive fast pass like you have in Disney, but then just for the Star Wars.
Just for Star Wars. Exactly. Yeah. And I could be the littlest stormtrooper with you guys stealing some plans.
Stormtrooper
of the Death Star. It's really cool.
I see the camera like panning, and it goes like Zim, me, Nathy, Mike.
What? We gotta stop pigeonholing Mike. He's not that short.
You're like I see Rowdy shooting, and Mike is just walking under his feet, like sliding under, like just shooting that way. Like he could just walk under Rowdy without even having to.
I'll get their ankles, guys. Don't worry.
Okay.
So let's talk about our predictions, and let's talk about games first. No mentioning of hardware yet. Let's just focus on games.
Oh.
So let's talk about what games you predict will be at the show. I've obviously mentioned one, Espire 1. I predict that that's going to be there. I also predict that we're going to get hands-on with Stormland and Defector.
That's what I was going to say, Stormland. What was the second one? Vector?
Defector.
Oh, Defector, yeah.
Yeah, that espionage game.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I also, this is my prediction, I also think we're finally going to know the name and what kind of game it is from Respawn, because they teased that last year.
Yes.
They said that they're working on a VR game exclusive for Oculus. Obviously, Respawn are the developers that made Titanfall. Yeah. So I think we'll finally find out what that game is called and maybe even get hands-on with it. And then, other than that, I'm just hoping for some more Oculus Go games to be announced as well.
Oh, Oculus Go games. Yeah, definitely. Very important.
I want to see, games-wise, it's games-related, but it's not a game. I want to see them bring back a sizzle reel during the keynote, which they dropped last year, and I thought wasn't really fair to indies, because I think indies deserve the support and the kind of FaceTime to kind of show off, key titles. But I would love to see something else. There's no mention of this. There's no hint to it. But just because I met the team last year and I was a huge fan of From Other Suns, I'd love to see Gunfire Games drop another VR title. I'm guessing they're probably not. But I'd love to see something else from them.
Yeah, me too. Me too, for sure. For sure. Definitely. I'd love them to just bring something out. And the thing is, like, we experienced it last year that there were titles that we tried out at that show that hadn't even been announced yet, and we got to try hands-on at that show. Like,
Transference, for instance, right? I played that, a year before. So.
Red Matter as well.
Red Matter?
Marvel and a load of other titles as well. Wildlands 2 was the first time I tried it there as well. So I'm sure there'll be titles that we've never even heard of, never even considered, maybe from developers we've never even heard of, that'll be taking the show.
Honestly, I would love to see more third-person titles, and I would like to see more cinematic experiences that you can just watch and enjoy. Let's say like a new Henry kind of thing. Now I know Oculus story goes down, but they are still like they made a new company, so it could be that they still bring something to the show. And I just would love to see Oculus using maybe something from Lucky Still or Henry to use it in a game. Let's say we could play a game with Henry and do something with that. It would be so nice to kind of have those old school characters, bring them back, like kind of get into that nostalgia feeling. And
the whole kind of Mario cycle, Mario, Zelda, all that, like bring back the familiar characters. And
a third-person Henry game where you just have a little forest with your friends and you need to do kind of thing. Like, that would be so fun.
Yeah, I'd love to know your predictions in the chat, by the way. If you've got
let us know. Let us know.
You think?
I see some. We have maybe Lone Echo 2. Please.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, good call.
Not this soon. Not this soon. No way.
Maybe a DLC, something like that.
Could be DLC.
I really would like to see some more like I know we already have like Stormland and Defector, and there probably are more story-driven experiences, but like I would like to see something that is like slow-paced and story-driven, like something that you walk through. Go ahead, Zim.
Well, I was gonna say, while you're saying slow-paced and story-driven, RIP for Telltale Games.
Yeah,
real sad to hear that news.
Yeah, that's true. I really hope those devs that got laid off there find, I know that the community has been really supportive about trying to find them new opportunities, so I hope they do. Because they were a great studio. They made some fantastic games.
It's awesome to see so many like big and small companies now also post on Twitter saying like, hey, if you're looking for a job, of course also a little bit of marketing, but still they do open up for that. So I think that's cool.
We got a very good prediction here from Victor. He's saying Respawn announces Popstic's World Online.
Great prediction.
I still have the feeling, because they made Titanfall, that it's going to be something with robots and mechs. I don't know. But as you guys may know, Titanfall wasn't very successful. The first one kind of was because it was new, but then the second one was a total failure, I wouldn't say, but it wasn't the best thing ever. Someone also says, Chris says, a game like Moss with Henry would be awesome. Skyrim Popstic mod on the way. And someone predicts that Stormland will be a killer game. I just want to have hands-on with the co-op, because let's say the single player is great, sure, but I'm not really interested in playing this alone. Like, I'm playing too many games alone already. I just want to work together, level separately, and really get into it, and come back to the game every day, invest time together with my friends. So hopefully the co-op will all be as cool as the single player. So
let's try and make it happen.
Yeah.
So we know this year from reliable sources that getting hands-on with the Santa Cruz isn't going to be a problem this year, because last year it was kind of behind closed doors. Only real sort of top-end outlets got to try it out, like Tested, for example. Yeah. But us mere mortals didn't get to put our hands on it, unfortunately. But this year, I've heard it's going to be completely different. Everyone's going to be able to get hands-on with the Santa Cruz. So let's talk about that very briefly in terms of specs, because we know a few bits and pieces. Obviously, we know it's a 6 Degrees of Freedom headset that's got inside-out tracking, and it's got 6 Degrees of Freedom controllers as well. It's completely standalone.
In layman terms, can you describe 6 Degrees of Freedom for people who don't know what that is, Mike?
So you've essentially got free movement. You can move your head up and down, side to side, diagonally, completely rotate. You can move forward and backwards in your physical space as well. And that's represented in real time in the headset. And it uses 4 cameras that are positioned at each corner of the headset to track your movement in your space and also the movement of the controllers at the same time. So it's very clever.
So the controller on, for instance, the Oculus Go, which is 3 DOF, or 3 Degrees of Freedom, is fixed in place, and you can rotate it like a laser pointer. But with 6 DOF, I can move this anywhere in the environment.
Anywhere in a three-dimensional space. Yeah.
Not 4-dimensional yet, but
not 4 dimensions. Sure. Yeah, unfortunately. So kind of similar to technology that the Windows MR headsets use.
Yep.
Okay.
But it's completely standalone. The controllers are similar looking to the touch controllers. I don't think they'll be that different. The little loop is kind of inverted, but I think that's because of the way it tracks it.
Yep.
It's likely to use an app, a bit like the Go, to manage all the games that you install.
Mm-hmm.
I would suggest, because it's still an Android based platform using the Qualcomm Snapdragon processor.
Yep.
It will likely have, obviously, the improved optics from the Go in terms of the lenses, but it will likely have an adjustable IPD, I think. We don't know the resolution in terms of the final resolution, but I think at a guess, it's likely going to use the same resolution as the Go. I can't see them going that much higher, because then you'll get into Vive Pro territory. And for a standalone headset, I think that's a big ask, because they're probably likely looking at performance rather than visuals.
Do you think the foveated rendering in the Go is getting brought forward with the Santa Cruz? I'd imagine they would reuse that, because it obviously has performance advantages.
It makes sense to do that.
Possibly, yes.
Sense.
But I think the resolution, because the Go resolution is 2560 by 1440 panel, so it's 1280 by 1440 per eye, and I think that's a pretty decent resolution for a standalone headset. I don't think it needs to be any higher.
Agree with you.
Because the Rift is 1080 by 1200, still a great headset. Doesn't really matter.
But you notice the difference, though. If you go now from Vive Pro to the Oculus, I mean, I do that pretty often, and I do notice the difference.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same. I'm always aching to get my Go screen into my Rift.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think it will hit the middle ground. So it won't be quite Vive Pro resolution, but it won't be Rift resolution. It will likely be the same resolution as the Go. But let's talk about some predictions in terms of release window, and I'll give you my prediction. I think from announcement, they'll say it will be available to purchase in 6 months. So I'm saying release will be March 2019.
I think that's fair. They usually do that from this event. They usually say Q1 of the following year.
Yeah.
I'm actually hoping that they're going to release something else. New that we don't know about.
Don't talk about that just yet. Let's not jump the gun with your popstick. Let's save that to the end. But yeah, so what about? Do you guys think that that's a decent sort of window? Q1 2019,
I mean,
or do you think later?
About it for so
I think
long
it could come earlier.
It makes sense that.
I think like
later
next,
than that. No.
I think next summer.
Next summer.
And if they want to go crazy Oprah style, this Christmas you can pre-order now. This Christmas it will
reach under your seat. Everyone's got one.
That's.
Yeah.
I don't think
it might be this side of the. It might be this side of the year actually.
Wow,
so
you think so? Christmas?
I really do, because it was playable last year, right?
Yeah.
If we think it could be consumer ready by, they could be hitting shelves with it in October.
Very
We got some
early.
smart people in the chat that have highlighted something that we haven't. We actually didn't talk about it. Santa Cruz, Santa Christmas.
Oh yeah, now we know. That's it. That's all we have to know.
Well, this is a good point, and it's a good segue to let's talk about the name, because it's not going to be called the Santa Cruz. What is the name going to be? The official name? Any guesses? I'd love to know your thoughts in the chat, by the way. Put your guesses in there as well. I've got my prediction, but I'll save mine till last.
Okay. I never came up with a name. It's imprinted into my brain that that's the name. So it will be kind of awkward.
Because they always use code names. So like Monterey was the code name for Rift, I think, the controllers.
First of all, it's going to call Oculus and then something after that.
I feel like something airy, something like Air or Move, but those are both kind of taken. I don't think they're going to step on those existing brands.
Yeah.
What's your guess, Mike?
I think Oculus Move. I think they're going to go for it.
That's what I was thinking. But I mean, do you think they're really going to step on PlayStation's toes?
I think they're going to go for it. Ballsy move and just go for it. Yeah.
Oculus Jump sounds also kind of cool. I don't know.
Jump.
Yeah.
Oculus that sounds like lawsuit territory, Nancy. They're not doing that.
Rift Go and Move. It just sounds right when I say it.
Well, I think they like the verb. I think they enjoy when they have a verb for it. So.
Yeah, but they already use
Move is probably it, to be honest.
And any good suggestions in the chat?
Yeah, Oculus Vive, Oculus here, Oculus Cruise.
Yeah. Okay.
Oculus Popstic. That's what someone said.
Oh my god.
Oculus Go Pro.
So I think this is probably an obvious sort of prediction, but I think Beat Saber will be a launch title for the Santa Cruz Oculus Move, whatever.
No doubt.
Without doubt.
Stupid if they
So there's our
I want to know how you
predictions
can
for
record with it though.
Oh,
Price.
That is gonna be the biggest-
Price.
Oh yeah, price. Go on then. What's your prediction on price?
I'm gonna go higher because I went super low the last time, so I'm gonna go $399.
Okay. Nathan?
I'm kind of in the same boat there actually.
Okay.
Because it's got controllers with it.
But
so,
on the other side, they usually offer it way cheaper, even that it's maybe costing more because I mean Facebook is a big company. So like with the Go as well, maybe they just
I would say $499 though.
Okay. So we've got Nathy and Zim at $399, Rowdy at $499. I'm gonna go $599. I think it's gonna be more expensive.
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
You think so?
More expensive than a Rift.
Yep. And that's purely because if you think about a Rift, you have to bundle in the PC to run it as well, and that's way over $1,000.
One other thing is, I think there's going to be. I'm going to guess that they're going to announce either now or coming soon, like by Christmas, a drop in the price of the Go. I bet because they have been very aggressive with pricing.
Oh yeah.
Given that that's their entry level headset, for $149 is what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess they're going to drop the price by $50.
That's a good prediction, and I think you're probably spot on with that. And that's a very aggressive price and a very awesome price.
Who isn't going to buy that, right?
Yeah.
Like for a Christmas present kind of thing. That's great.
They're definitely sometimes hunting for new users, so I think they will go for something crazy, and maybe the Rift will be slightly discounted.
Maybe.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, Mike, about the price of the PC in there, but a lot of people don't think that way. They see the headset. Oh, but I can get the Rift for like $399. Why would I get this new wireless headset?
And there will still be a big difference between the Rift and this we don't know the name of that Oculus Move. It's still not going to be the same experience as on PC. It will be a nice middle ground, but it's if you really are into PC, then a Rift will still be more interesting, I would say.
They could do $350. I think it would be fine if they did $150 for the Go, $350 for the Rift, and $500 for the Cruise.
So according to the chat, we have people saying $499, $550.
Eric actually makes a good point. Eric makes a good point in saying everyone might actually be right because maybe they have multiple storage models.
That's true.
Yeah.
And we all get burgers. We have to buy our own burgers.
Someone says Oculus Octopus, $599.
Okay, let's talk about the just one last thing that's likely going to happen, I think, in my mind, and that's a Rift 2.0 is going to be announced. They're going to say, this is what we're going to do, because they're going to lay out the roadmap. They're going to say, okay, we've done Go now. This is great. We're going to do a little nice highlight reel of the Go stuff. Yes. This is Santa Cruz. This is what's happening next. And then in the future, this is our plan for Rift. And
wireless.
What do you think that's going to be? What do you think that plan is going to be? What are the features that they're going to announce?
Wireless.
I think is a great feature. Yeah. I think would be an important one.
AR.
I think 150 degrees field of view. I don't think they'll go as wide as Pimax. I think they'll hit somewhere in the middle with 150.
Okay.
I think they'll go with a very focal display. With very focal lenses with eye tracking. Dynamic
eye tracking already foveated rendering.
Dynamic foveated rendering, and it will be at the same resolution as the Vive Pro, 1440 by 1600 per eye.
Maybe some see-through cameras as well.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't think they'll bother.
Okay. I agree with the. I think indeed increased field of view. Mm-hmm. I think increased resolution. What was the first thing you said again?
Wireless.
Audio. They're going to bring the audio solution from the Go in. I'd say.
And also what I don't think varifocal will be ready already, unless it's just a simple moving forward and backward on a fixed scene, but not so intense as what they prototyped in the beginning of objects and differences. Because I think there's still a lot of stuff that needs to get done there. And also with the foveated rendering, I don't know if the technology is already there to have a dynamic eye tracking built in into your that is adjusting the resolution to the point that you watch. Well, it depends on the release date, of course. If they announce it for 2 years later.
Oh no, like I don't think they go for release date. They just show what they are working on.
And the thing is, like, just thinking about it, they announced Santa Cruz last year, and it's only coming out potentially in quarter one of next year. So if you think about it, the product that we get likely to see is going to be, you know,
I think it'd be summer next year. I think it'd be kind of summer or Q3 next year that they're going to try. But I think you're right. I think they're going to announce something separate to the cruise, and it's going to be landing next year at some point. Because also think about the longer time frame here, right? Who else is competing? We don't know on HTC. We do know Apple. The other thing we could say here, and I don't think we've touched on this yet, is the AR side. So are they going to show something in this headset that's either standalone AR, or are they going to show something that has, again, external capability?
I don't think Oculus will compete in the AR scene.
No, I don't think so either.
Never?
Not yet. Not yet. Not never, but not yet.
But I mean, Facebook could also buy another company that works on AR, and they might already own a few. It's not like they could keep Oculus just for the VR stuff.
So my final prediction is that whatever they announce to be this next Rift 2.0, they're going to be able to demo it behind closed doors like they did with the Santa Cruz last year. So we're gonna have to get on our knees, start begging to get our hands on this thing.
It's all right. I just want to say the F.Reality crew is ready for sexual favors.
We'll take our Popsticks with us.
Ready. Bring your Popsticks ready, boys.
Hopeless.
Oh my god.
One last prediction I would like to make is that it's the same with this Oculus Rift 2.0, where they show something they are working on, and that's the Oculus gloves.
Ooh, yeah, that would be very interesting.
Tactile. I'm with Nathan on that. There's only a
but in a way where it's like, look what we are working on, and like we're gonna push this for the next like years. But in a way where they don't say like you can expect this within a year. Just in a way like, okay, we're looking into the future. This is where we want to go. And they just
Carmack,
show that.
for instance, might mention it, or Abrash.
You guys got me really excited about foveated rendering now, though. Now I really want to see some foveated rendering. Yeah. Not the static one, but really the dynamic one.
Yeah,
but I do feel like if they start like releasing these headsets too fast, they can't catch up with their content, and that's also a big deal. Like Oculus Go, it still needs more content. It's not solid enough right now. So if you then already start another platform, let's say if everything works nicely together, then you can release every game and it just converts easily. But as long as that's not a thing,
I still see that more as like a watch platform than a real like hardcore gaming platform. Also because of like the stuff that Oculus is doing. You know, they're streaming the event to there, they're streaming all those sports events to there. I still see that more as like a community kind of social experience.
But then still, even if it's only for that, there's still not that much activity, I would say.
Yeah.
Lots of hype for OC5.
For sure. Just to let you guys and girls know as well, we're not quite sure about the schedule for next week's show, but we're going to try and do a special episode of the F.Reality podcast during the week, live from OC5. We can't make any promises, but that's our plan right now. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get the update when we do go live, because it could be at a random time, away from our normal schedule. So
and notifications turned on, so you get those push alerts.
For sure. Also unsure about the schedule for next weekend, but again, we'll try and update you via our Twitter and let you know what the score is with that. But if you've got any questions, ask them now. I'm just going to wrap up and do the reminder of the show times. So just a reminder, it's live streamed every Saturday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Live at 7 p.m. in Europe, 6 p.m. in the UK, 12 midday in Central US. Check out the audio version on Google Play Music, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Anchor. And like we said, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you turn your notifications on. So if you've got any questions, now's the time. Before we wrap this one up, because we're running a bit late anyway.
Yes. Plot twist: the Rift 2 has light a house tracking 2.0. That'd be insane, yeah. That's actually a good point that what Brian makes, that the Rift 2 could
that would be a good point. If they take the inside-out tracking from the Santa Cruz and implement that in their Rift 2, that would be very interesting indeed. It
have inside-out tracking with optional external tracking.
Sure.
But those in
I
the
want to see something tetherable.
Right?
Yeah, something with Virtual Link as well. I forgot to mention that. Like, whatever headset comes next is going to have Virtual Link compatibility, which is the connector on the RTX cards. Also,
people in the chat want to know where Zim bought that green screen, because it looks so real.
It's realer than real. Yeah,
that's good. All right.
Like, you know what would be crazy as well if this Santa Cruz or Oculus Move or Oculus Octopus, whatever we're gonna call it, is you're able to connect it to your PC like a Rift. Like you can use it with your sensors, and you can just use it as like a thing on the move.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that'd be cool. Like a Switch version of a VR headset. Yeah.
Yeah, but they still need a reason to sell the Rift too. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there anything else here? Palmer Lucky Simulator confirmed. He's gonna be there too. That's also a prediction, or like a fact. It's a fact, right? He's gonna be there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's round it up. Zim's itching to go. He's obviously got something to do. So yeah. So I hope you guys and girls have enjoyed this show. We have ran on a little bit, but we had so much to talk to, and we're excited about OC5. We're all going to be there together next week, so hopefully you can tune into the show, our special episode. If you have, have a good week in VR. We'll see you soon, hopefully. So
definitely.
Thanks for joining.
See you at OC5.
Bye for now. Bye.